Claire Morel, 32, is a nurse in a palliative care unit in Bordeaux. Deeply committed to her work, she lead a key life punctuated by shift work, close friends, and a passion for hiking. She met Thomas Beaulieu, 35, a télécommunication engineer, on a dating gap, et seemed caring, culture, and respectful. They stayed together for just over a year. Relationship before breakup. At first, their relationship was harmonious, gentle, and based on deep exchange. Thomas spoke little of his past, except for a former partner who had allegedly left him without a valid reason. Claire wasn't concerned. Little by little, Thomas became more present, even intrusive. He wanted to share everything, refused to let her go hiking alone, commented on her outfit, and criticized her friends. Claire attributed this behavior to an anxious personality, and she tried to smooth things over. But one day, when he accused her of lying to him after seeing a photo of her with a former college friend, she realized this jealousy was no ordinary thing. After several dead-end discussions and an episode where he became physically aggressive, without going as far as outright violence, she decided to end their relationship. Start of harassment. Claire thought things would turn out in a mature manner. But Thomas reacted very badly. In the days that followed, he sent her dozens of messages, oscillating between apology, reproach, and tiny veiled threats. She blocked him, and then began sending emails and creating new social media accounts to write to her. Sometimes, she simply received a message, "I miss you." Other times, "You want to have the last word." She filed a complaint, without much conviction. She didn't want to make a fuss. Yet, her daily life was beginning to crack. Tension rises. As the weeks passed, Claire began to notice strange things. One morning, she found a wilted rose tucked into her door handle. Another time, her cat disappeared for 24 hours before returning, disturbed. She sometimes heard noise outside her house at night, but saw no one. During one shift, a colleague reported seeing a man hanging around the hospital, asking for her. She temporarily moved in with a friend, just to weather the storm. But even then, letters were arriving in her name with vague but disturbing messages. "Do you think you can erase me? I'm everywhere." One day, while hiking in a mountain à chuter, she had a premonition. Halfway up the mountain, she found a folded, dust and printed photo of the two of them nailed to a tree. On the back, he told you we'd always walk together. That evening, she realized he was following her, that he knew her habit, and that he was crossing an invisible line. She alerted the local police. They took note, but without a direct threat, they couldn't do much. Climax. On March 17, Claire moved back into her home. She had a camera installed outside her door. That evening, she came home late from her shift, tired and exhausted. As she entered, she smelled an unusual odor, a mixture of damp and metal. As she walked into her living room, she found her bookcase overturned, her sofa torn, and, written in black paint on the wall, "Finally alone." Thomas burst out of the room, knife in hand, his eyes shining with morbid excitement. She screamed, tried to run away. He grabbed her by the hair, forced her to sit down, and spoke to her as if nothing was wrong. "I've been waiting for you. You'll understand. We're going to talk for a long time." She managed to distract him by agreeing to talk with him long enough to find a way out. She apologized, told him she was sorry, that she had been wrong. He relaxed a little. When he put down the knife to approach, she stood up abruptly and threw a lamp at his head. She ran, managed to get out screaming. A neighbor alerted the police. Thomas tried to escape through the fire escape, but was arrested a few minutes later. Conclusion. Thomas Beaulieu was taken into custody and charged with harassment, home invasion, and attempted assault. The psychiatric report revealed severe obsessive-compulsive disorder associated with a paranoid personality disorder. He was involuntarily committed. It took Claire a while to recover. She moved cities, moved job, adopted a second dog, and installed alarm. She spoke at conference on post-breakup harassment. She always insists on one point. When something seems abnormal, it's not you who is paranoid. Trust your instinct. Protagoniste, Sophia, 32 years old. Location, Montréal, Canada. Time in history, between 2013 and 2020. When Sophia met David, she was 25. He was 35. He was charismatic, self-confident, and a little too intense in the first few weeks. But at that age, she saw it a passion, attachment. It was only after a few months that things started to go wrong. David couldn't stand it when she went out without him. He scored her message, accompanied her everywhere, saying it was to protect her. He would have jaloux fit every time she looked at him. One night, he even went so far as to tweet a waiter who had simply smiled at him. Sophia eventually left him, but it was easy. He cried, begged, threatened, then became gentle again. A never-ending cycle. One day, she left without warning, moving to another city, cutting off all contact. She blocked his number, deleted his social media account, and started over in Ottawa. Years passed. She rebuilt her life, changed job, mais somehow new. She never heard from David again. Until that evening in March 2020. It was 10 heures du soir. She was returning from a friend's house. Upon entering her building, she found an envelope slipped under her door. No stamp, no address. Just her handwritten first name. Inside, a simple photo. She and David, in a restaurant, years ago. But what shielded her wasn't the photo. It was the background. A blurred silhouette, herself, sitting alone in a cafe, that very day. She didn't say anything to her boyfriend. She wanted to believe it was a coincidence, a dirty trick from the past. But in the days that followed, everything got worse. Knock on the door at 3 heures du matin, calls from an unknown number, silent. Her dog, one morning, was found bleeding, with a wounded paw. No burglary, no theft. She filed a complaint. The police told her that without direct evidence, they couldn't do anything. She installed camera. One night, at 4:12 du matin, the alarm went off. In the video, a hooded man, looking into the camera. He does nothing. He stands there, motionless, staring into the camera for nearly 3 minutes, then he raises a hand. And he smiles. It was David. He found her again after 7 years. The police took the case more seriously this time. A warrant was issued. But David was gone. No home address, no work record. Just an empty record and an undiminished obsession. Sophia moved again. She changed city, phone number, name. She now lives abroad under an alias. She never heard from him again. But something, deep down, she's convinced he knows exactly where she is, and is just waiting for the right moment to strike. Laure Ferral, 29, is a freelance graphic designer in Lyon. She has lived alone for 3 years in an apartment on the 4th floor of an old building in the Guillotière district. Her ex, Nicolas Vernet, 34, was a journalist for a small independent media outlet. They met at a local festival. Charismatic, funny, and passionate about his work, Nicolas had everything it took to seduce her. Their relationship lasted just under a year. Relationship before breakup. At first, their relationship was close. Nicolas talked about the future, shared project, a possible trip to South America. He seemed hopelessly in love. But very quickly, Laure noticed strange behavior. He wanted to know who she was talking to, checked her phone, and made sense when she went out without him. He often said, "You mean, Laure, you don't understand what it means to be truly loved." One evening, after an argument in which he violently threw a cup against a wall, she decided to leave him. He left without a word, his gaze blank. Start of harassment. For a few weeks, he gave no sign of life. Then the message began. Dozens of them. Something poetic, something accusatory, something simply strange. The door creaked when you come home at 6h24 du soir. She blocked him everywhere. He created new account. She changed her number. He sent her handwritten letters to her address, without a stamp, simply delivered. One morning, she found her mailbox half open, containing a drawing. Her, asleep in her bed, from above. She went to the police station. They offered to file a complaint, but she was informed that without proof of a direct threat, few concrete steps could be taken. Laure refused, for fear of upsetting her even more. Tension rises. As the month passed, Laure grew paranoid. She constantly felt like she was being watched. At night, she would wake up with a start, convinced she had heard a noise. One evening, she came home and smelled an unusual odor, like a trace of Pinge Menes perfume, floating in the hallway. She searched the apartment, but everything seemed to be in place. A week later, she noticed one of her plants had been moved. Nothing glaring, just a pot turned a carte turn. Then it was a bedside lamp that had been turned off, even though she always left it on. She began to do herself. She set up a discreet camera in the living room, pointed towards the front door. The footage revealed nothing, at first. Until one day, she noticed a reflection, a face appearing for a few seconds in a mirror behind her while she was on the phone. She called a locksmith to change all the lock. Climax. The real nightmare came one winter evening in early February. It was bitterly cold, the damp trickling in through an hall, poorly insulated window. Laure had fallen asleep on a sofa, snuggled up in a blanket. Around 3 heures du matin, a snapping sound woke her. Not loud, but sharp, clear, like a floorboard giving way under the weight. She stood up slowly. The living room was bathed in a blue light, the light from the street lamp outside. Everything seemed normal, until she noticed her bathroom door was ajar. She was sure she closed it. She stepped closer. The silence in the apartment was almost oppressive. Listening carefully, she thought she heard breathing slow, rhythmic. She took a step back, then two. Her heart was pounding. She rushed to the front door, flung it open, and screamed up the stairwell. The neighbor went outside. The police arrived about 20 minutes later. Inside the bathroom, they found nothing. But in the hallway closet, hidden under a pile of laundry, a phone was discovered. It contained video, dozens of them, Laure sleeping, showering, eating, all filmed from different angles. From inside, they also discovered a set of his keys. And in the building's basement, hidden behind a makeshift partition, a mat, a sleeping bag, leftover food. Nicolas had been living there, in hiding, for several weeks. Nicolas Werner was arrested that same evening, lurking in an anti-third floor apartment that had been unoccupied for months. He had forced his way in without being reported. The investigation revealed that he had entered Laure's apartment several times, sometimes without her noticing, often at night. He had hidden small camera, slipped microphone into the walls, and installed sensor in the electrical outlet. The court found him criminally responsible. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison for aggravated harassment, home invasion, invasion of privacy, and illegal possession of surveillance equipment. Laure, for her part, left the apartment immediately. She never returned to the neighborhood. Even today, she sleeps with a light on and checks every room before going to bed. These 3 stories remind us of a disturbing truth. Sometimes, danger d'OST come from a stranger, but from someone we once loved. Someone who knows our habit, our weakness, our safe-avant. Obsessive ex aren't just looking to come back. They want to control, invade, and sometimes destroy. If you're experiencing a similar situation, talk about it. To a loved one, to a professional, to the authority. This type of harassment should never be taken lightly. And if these stories captivated you or chilled your blood, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next true story video. See you soon, but in the meantime, stay vigilant. Sometimes, what we leave behind isn't really good.